hello, everyone. And one of the panelists will be joining us momentarily, but I am going to start with my introduction of the moderator, Ms. Stephanie Rawlings-Blake, a seasoned chief executive officer who served as the 49th mayor of the city of Baltimore, overseeing the largest economic revival in the city's recent history. Stephanie is a results-oriented professional with over 20 years of public sector experience and proven knowledge of municipal government, fiscal management, and strategic problem solving. As president of SRB and Associates, she provides advice to clients, including public and private companies, government officials, research agencies, the media, political parties, and so many others. You have probably seen her on CNN and NBC and many other network programs where they tap into her knowledge and expertise. She completed a Bachelor's of Arts in Politics from Oberlin College and a Juris Doctorate from the University of Maryland, Francis Key Carey School of Law. And I must add, she is my soror, my link sister, and many who know us call us Laverne and Shirley. So you figure out who's Laverne and who's Shirley. So thank you.
I'm definitely Shirley.
Oh yeah, okay. So you could be Shirley today. So on that note, I will turn this over to my dear friend and sister, Stephanie Rawlings-Blake.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to pray on my internet connection that it stays stable this whole time. You would think, 2 years into the pandemic, my Wi-Fi would know how to act, but it's the weekend, so it thinks it's off. So I am so excited to be here with all of you. First, Karenthia, thank you for the invitation. Every topic that you've discussed is a timely topic, and I can't think of someone more suited to have to host this type of conversation. So thanks for putting together meaningful panels with people that have so much to add to our community. It is my pleasure to be here with our panel today. We have Dr. and I want to make sure I'm getting it right. Soyini? Did I get it right?
You did, thank you.
Dr. Soyini Ayana Richards, who is a native of native New Yorker. Now, what part of New York?
Born in Brooklyn, raised in Westchester.
Oh, nice. And now she is residing in the Washington, D.C. area, graduated from Howard University with both a bachelor's and a master's degree. And after completing her master's degree, she became a school psychologist in Washington, in the DC public schools, and she's been performing both assessments and intervention services. And she is a thriving Christian psychotherapist, and her practice is in her hometown of Westchester, New York, where she's offered individual and family therapy. And in such a time as these, when we think about what we've been going through in this pandemic and how the stresses are coming from every angle, I don't know of a time where your expertise could be or would be more useful. So thank you so much for joining us. There's so much more to go in your background to go into. I hope we'll have some time to go into it as well, Dr. Richards. And I'm also want to bring forward Dr. Ashley Little, CEO, founder of Ashley Little Enterprises. She has media, consulting, writing, ghostwriting, publishing, book coaching, project management, magazine, PR, and marketing. I could go on and on and on and on. She's a TV and radio host, TED Talk, TEDx speaker, international speaker, keynote speaker, media maven. And I'm not going to hold this part against you. Proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She's also Also very involved in her community with scholarship efforts to support the people in her hometown. I just lost it, of Wadesboro, North Carolina, correct?
Yes.
And she is a founder of Talk Radio, TALK Talk Radio and TV network, which airs in over 167 countries and streams live on Amazon. I could go on and on and on and on about your accolades, but I think I would be much more interested in making sure that we are, having this conversation. And I just want to make sure. And Jayde, are we in this conversation? I don't have your bio. Then you're gonna have to help me out, Jayde.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm Jayde.
I'm sorry.
And I apologize.
So I am going to introduce Jayde because I am so happy and proud and delighted. Jayde is my niece. And my niece is the creator and host of a podcast called Students of Mind. And she has been able to touch the lives of so many people through her podcast and help them with their mental health challenges and their wellness issues. So Jayde, if there's anything else you'd like to add, feel free to do so, but your proud auntie had to jump in there.
Now I know why I didn't get your bio.
Thank you. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I do the podcast. I'm a student, and yeah, I'm just someone who advocates for mental health and mental health awareness. So I'm really excited to be a part of this conversation. So thank you for having me.
So Jayde, where did you grow up?
I was born and raised in Baltimore, but about 2 years or almost 3 years ago now, I relocated to California.
Got it. As I think about this is a conversation about how to maintain inner strength in the face of many, many obstacles. And when I think about my inner strength, I think about my foundation. And one of those first parts of my foundation is where I am from. So I know that when I talk to people, I often go there to where are you from? Where are your people from? Because that speaks to really how inner strength shows up for you. So as we are talking about where you're from and where your people are from, when I think about inner strength, I think about the examples that were set for me. So I'm going to ask each one of you, when was the first time, if you could, think back into your mind's eye and think, when was the first time you recognized inner strength? And who was it that, what was the situation? Who was it? How did it show up in your life? And how did it impact you in the work that you're doing now? I'm going to start with Dr. Richards.
Hey, thank you so much. And I actually think this is a great way to kickstart things. Awesome question. And we can't belittle our upbringing in the field of psychology. We definitely talk about how our early years are very instrumental on the development. And the first person that came to my mind when you asked the question was my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. And her strength coming here, she was a first generation American from the West Indies. And she brought over her children here by herself after she worked a couple of months. And I listened to all the stories she told me and how proud she was that she was able to afford this opportunity to her children. And today I'm a grandmother. My one daughter and her husband have given me 4 grandsons, and I still tell them stories about my grandmother and the strength that she showed me growing up. I think those stories have been big for our people of color. We love to storytell. And I remember each and every one of those stories my grandmother and grandfathers told me And it built a resilience that I use today.
All right, Jayde.
So for me, the first person that came to mind was my mom. The first memory I can think of is my mom was a lactation consultant when I was younger, like from before I was born until my elementary school years. And she would travel around the country and do speaking engagements. And so she would be in front of these big crowds speaking and teaching about breastfeeding and how to take care of your baby. And I would be with her most of the time. So when I think of my first memory of seeing someone maintain their inner strength, it's my mom being able to go to these speaking engagements and support everyone that's there, hundreds of people, hundreds of mothers and their babies that are there, and then be able to come home and be the best mom to myself and my brother. So that's definitely what the first thing that comes to mind, and who I kind of pull from to keep my inner strength at the level that it needs to be at.
Thank you, Jayde. Dr. Little?
I want to say my mom as well. And then one of my mentors that I still have to this day, my mom is a corporate attorney. So, having that voice and being confident and being resilient was instilled in me my whole life. So I was very involved, and she kept me and my sister and brother involved in extracurricular activities and just teaching us confidence and making sure we continue to own the room, take up space, So I would definitely say my mother and my current, my mentor now, that has been one of my mentors for mostly all my life. So those would be the two people.
Thank you so much. So let's talk about how this shows up. When do we know that we individually need to draw on that inner strength, and what happens when you see it in someone else? Have you had an experience where you felt like you're with someone, or they could be friends, they could be family, they could be a coworker, and you see it because of your background, because of your experience, you feel that they need to tap into their inner strength, and what can you do about it? What can we do about that? Who wants to jump in? All right, don't make me call you out, Dr. Richards.
I will. I am really grateful that I had a lot of strong women in my community. I did have the opportunity and was fortunate that I grew up with both parents, and I saw how my father recognized my mother's strength and how he was not intimidated by it, appreciated it, valued it. And it made me as a woman today comfortable with being who I am and comfortable in my skin and not listening to criticisms. And I think that as Black women, we have what I call a double jeopardy, and I've read about different theories on it, that we're a so-called double minority. So at times we don't know how to fit in, and we don't want to appear too aggressive. We don't want to appear too passive, and we still want to uplift the men in our community. So I saw my mother navigate that. I saw her proudly use her voice, and I find myself doing the same thing this day and age.
You touched on a good point when you said, not listening to criticism, which is, so important now in this age where everybody's got, if you have a finger and you can hit send or tweet or, post, everybody's got an opinion, and far too often those opinions are being amplified far beyond what I think is due to them. So, again, when we're talking about, how to maintain that inner strength, and, what does it look like when you need to tap into it yourself? And what does it look like when you're trying to help somebody else see that they have that inner strength that they might not see that they have and need it?
Stephanie, can I just add one more thing?
Mhm.
I find myself as a coach in therapy, and even with my students, I'm a professor, reminding them that they have to do their own self-talk too, to silence things that they've heard over the years, silence voices that are self-destructive. And all throughout the day, as soon as you get up, this is going to be an amazing day. And there's some great books. Cindy Trim is an author and a pastor, and she has a book called Command Your Morning. You wake up in the morning, you command what your day should look like, and speak and affirm what you want. Not exactly what you feel or see, but speak and affirm what you want. And that is a very powerful tool for inner strength.
I love it. Command your day. I think that's the first thing I'm going to adopt. Jayde or Dr. Little?
Yeah, when I first heard your question, the first thing that came to mind is over the past kind of year and a half, seeing so many Black women talk about how tired they are and how they're kind of running on empty, but they still feel like they have to do more than they're already doing. And for me, when I see that and I see the exhaustion and I see women going over empty, that's an indication to me that we need to pull from our inner strength to rest, because rest for me is the number one like healing tool. I think it's so important, and it is healing. And I think that rest is hard, and I don't think that's something people talk about, especially as Black women, and especially as, we're used to working all the time. So sitting down and resting can kind of bring up guilt sometimes. So something I always do is I just advocate for people to take a break, to sit down and rest, to take a nap, and to not feel guilty about it, which is hard too. Like, not having the guilt is hard, but definitely when I see people going over empty or pushing themselves to a place they don't need to push themselves, that's when I feel like is the moment we really need to reach deep down into that inner strength, because it takes that strength to be able to let yourself rest.
Dr. Little, did you want to add anything?
I would say on a daily basis when I'm working with my clients and you're encouraging them to share their stories, right? Because I help people write books, publish books, and I'm talking to clients about, the importance of their story, why they should share their story. And a lot of people are scared, right? Because of fear or doubt or the naysayers. And so I find myself, pushing people on a daily basis to do that, even with one of my other publishing companies, the HBCU Experience Movement, where I'm working with men and women. And we're sharing stories of how our HBCUs have molded us into the people we are today. And that movement was started because we don't share our stories enough in the Black community anyway. And we have to let people know, the product of what comes out of HBCUs. And so I'm dealing with men and women doing that. And it's so powerful to see people, sharing their stories. And once they get through the process, how happy they are to have it off their chest. And some of it's healing for them, right? And so I work with people every day, with pushing them to really tell their stories and overcome the fear and doubts of, things that they are scared to share, and understanding that your story matters and our stories matter. So on a daily basis for me.
And it's, you talk about sharing your story, and what that means is a willingness, to me, it means a willingness to make yourself vulnerable. Just like when Jayde was talking about admitting the need for rest. Far too often we are told that we have to be strong Black women and really, strong Black people. And, talking about our stories and talking about our struggles, makes you vulnerable, and I know it can make you feel like you are less than, or that you're not living up to what we should be or could be as Black people. So how do we get across, how do we cross that bridge, that strong doesn't mean strong by yourself? Strong doesn't mean strong without support, without counseling, without coaching. How do we get how do we become more comfortable being vulnerable in that way. So we have the space to recharge our inner strength.
Yeah, I think sessions like today, events like today, sharing our stories, sharing opportunities, really is a start. I know in my field, we share with each other when we have sought therapy, when we needed a coach, the importance of mentorship. I think the Black community does a great job being vulnerable in the area where we call it a mentor. We'll say that we have a colleague that we are working with, but I think we need to talk more about that. Yes, we went to see a therapist. Yes, we went to go see a coach, and sharing the experiences and the benefits of that will help encourage others to do the same. Yes, we are going to get a physical regularly. We are going to our OBGYN visits. And for the men saying they are seeing a urologist, I think we need to stop holding these things back and keeping secrets and talk.
Definitely. Jayde or Dr. Little?
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. I think we need people who are comfortable enough to share their story and to be vulnerable. And I think it's hard. From experience, I know that it's hard to get educated about mental health from a professional or from someone who's claimed to be an expert. And it's much more helpful to hear from someone who has lived experience with whatever it is that I'm struggling with. So I think having a lot of peer support, people who are, similar circumstances as you, sharing, what they went through, what they did to work through it, process it, and, what their life looks like now to maintain the work that they did.
I'd like to share something if I can. Can you all hear me? I've had some major technical difficulties. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry to be joining late in the conversation. I just want to sit back and listen and hear and take it all in, because you all are just such wonderful, wonderful women. So thank you for even allowing me to come in here and be a part of this wonderful discussion. For me and my experiences, for some reason, I've spoken to a lot of people that have been affected by this pandemic. I mean, we all are affected. I think we have to first understand that it's okay that I don't have all the answers. It's okay that I don't know what to do. It's okay that I'm vulnerable. This pandemic affects us all psychologically, socially, intimately. I mean, divorce rates are up, depression is up, anxiety is up. So there's no one answer. The best suggestion that I say when I speak to people when I'm in these forums is to just know that it's okay to be where you are. And if you feel that you are in a place where you need help, you just seek the help. We only have each other. We are our own best friends. We don't have no one else that's loving us. We don't have access to the same help that maybe other communities have. But what we do have is each other. And having these sort of discussions, these sort of forums, and just being your authentic self and knowing that it's okay. Sometimes we don't want to speak because we don't feel that we don't have the right answer. There's no right answer for COVID. There is no one set destination, but for me, I always focus on certain things when it comes to dealing with COVID and mental challenges that we all seem to go through is food. And I don't know if you spoke about that again. That's why I wanted to just listen and hear. I don't want to come in on the wrong end. I don't want to give you Saturday's paper on Sunday either. But food.
And Jamie, you have to you joined us a little late, so give us the Twitter version of your intro.
Me give it? What's my Twitter version? Well, you mean introduce myself, my bio? Is that what?
I didn't have your bio. Yeah, sorry about
okay,
that.
wow. Oh, okay, I don't have it in
I'm
front of me,
sorry.
but then it's more than okay. I am number one bestseller on Amazon. I'll walk it down because I don't even know. I'm number one bestseller on Amazon currently. I am a 2-time international speech winner. I am a certified health and wellness and nutrition consultant, and I do voiceovers. I have a love for humanity. I have a love for my people. I've been in entertainment for the last 35 years. I've retired. My life is about health and wellness. I went blind at the spur of the moment. I went to the mailbox one day to get my mail from my son after coming home from football practice. And we're at the dinner table and I said, come out and go get the mail real quick. So I go outside, I went to the mailbox and I lost my eyesight in that moment. So I went blind. So I've learned not to take things for granted. And through nutrition, I got my eyesight back so I can see all 1, 2, 3, 4 of you amazing looking women. But yes, so that's my
Wonderful.
intro. Yes, give
I appreciate your humility. You certainly are very accomplished, and thank you so much for sharing with us today. You know, each one of you have talked about in the different ways in which you have personally tapped into your inner strength and helped others tap into their inner strength. And I want to take it back to how you do it in your professional life. Dr. Richards, tell us about your wellness bliss? Tell us about that.
Sure, thank you. My dear friend, Michelle Williams and I are co-founders of a company called Wellness Bliss. We are in the Washington, D.C. area, but we have grown beyond that after the pandemic to the world. We offer a holistic approach to wellness. Both of us have a mental health background, and we saw a need in the community with the high rise of burnout to look for various options for self-care. And it has grown into an amazing opportunity where we're sharing everything from massage therapy services to coaching services and support groups during the pandemic. We've had women self-defense classes and healthy happy hours, an array of different activities in the city just to show people that wellness can be a lifestyle. And our clients are everyday people, one-to-one services, as well as some corporate clients and local and federal government agencies have also taken advantage of the opportunity where we've offered them webinars and as well as gone to their facilities and offered services.
And I know Karenthia is going. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that's one of my companies. I also have a private practice as well too, where I see individuals, couples, and I've seen couples more than ever since the pandemic. I also help children as well too, because I have a school psychologist background.
Oh, good. I know Karenthia is going to be mad at me for asking you this, but I have to know what a healthy happy hour is.
She won't be mad. Well, we have a couple of partners in the Washington, D.C. area, for those who are in this area. And one of those have been the MGM. They have been really kind to us. And we had an event at one of the restaurants at the MGM. And we talked to people. We shared self-care tips. And we introduced them to some of the practitioners. And we kind of kept them busy that they weren't drinking a lot. And they maintained a great attitude and environment while we were just socializing. And this was pre-pandemic. And it was just a great opportunity to share. A lot of us shared different tips that we use to help us de-stress during the day. And why it was a healthy happy hour is we kept the energy healthy and the conversation healthy. It was a health talk. That's why it was healthy happy hour.
Got it. All right, Jayde, tell us about your podcast.
Yeah, so I started a podcast about a year and a half ago, and it's called Students of Mind. On the podcast, I interview mental health workers and professionals, so like therapists, psychiatrists, and different types of healers. And then I also interview survivors and people with lived experience with different mental illnesses, or just mental health struggles. And I have both of those interviews in an episode. So my audience can get the patient and provider perspective of the topic. And I do this because for as long as I remember, have struggled with specifically anxiety, and I've been getting mental health care for a long time and have just experienced the trauma that exists when getting mental health care, and then the stigma around just talking about this. I know growing up, I felt like I was the only one dealing with any of this because I was the only one talking about it. And so my hope for the podcast is if I continue to talk about these things openly, it'll encourage other people to talk about it openly. And I also try to write my questions in a way that eliminates any of the language barriers that exist within the psychology community, because I know with any mental health education, there's so much medical terminology or academic terminology that a lot of people don't understand because they don't get into these academia spaces. Like that's not the majority for people. So what I do is try to formulate my questions in a way to yield responses that will be understood by anyone and everyone. And so I just want to eliminate barriers to mental health education and support.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right, Dr. Little, tell us what you do to
I don't have
maintain your inner strength.
Hey, well, I don't have a mental health background, but I am in media. And so I help people, share their stories, on my publishing company and just on my platform, Creating Your Seat at the Table media platform, with my show, my magazine. And so I just work with many different type of people every day, sharing their stories, highlighting them, them sharing their journeys of how they got to where they are and, where they started from. So I do it on a daily basis.
But when it hits you, tell us what you do.
When it hits me, I always say you have to encourage yourself, right? And so nobody's going to work harder for you but you, And so I say, I invest in coaches and mentors, I believe in investing in coaches and mentors who are 30 steps ahead of you, who are where you want to be. And if you don't invest in yourself, you're not going to get so far. So I always tell people, invest in yourself. You can't Google everything. You need to invest in yourself.
All right, I'm gonna have you repeat that. Say that one more time. Talking about investing in people that are 30 steps ahead. Let's revisit that conversation, because I think a lot of times, I will say I notice. I'm not putting, I'm not gonna label anybody. I'm not gonna call anybody out, but I notice people want to reach out for help. They want to reach back for help instead of reaching forward. So talk about why it's important to pick somebody that's 30 steps ahead of you and what the difference is.
It's because it's going to cut that learning curve. When you're reaching back to someone who hasn't achieved the things that you want to achieve or where you want to be, you're pretty much going backwards, right? And so that's why it's so important to invest in people who are 30 steps ahead to help you cut those learning curves. And it actually helps you achieve it. What might have took your mentor or coach 20 years to do, it might take you 5 or 6 years to do, right? Because you invested in someone that is where you want to be, that has took that journey and that can save you that time, those mistakes. And that's why it's so important. And a lot of people, they don't want to do that, right? You want to Google everything. You cannot Google everything. If you want to be where the successful people are, you have to go where the successful people are, and you have to invest like the successful people do. And I think that's the problem. And I'm not labeling any community, but we have to start investing in ourselves. We can't, a price is a price, right? And so you need to pay the price to where you want to be.
Yeah, you can't get a coupon code for that.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, I'm going to come back to Mr. Jamie. We're talking about how to maintain inner strength, and you talked about how to eat your way to health. You can't maintain your strength from a point of weakness. Talk about how you can strengthen, why it's important to strengthen your body for the journey.
Sure. I do want to make it crystal clear because I want it to be very simple. I'm not a nutritionist. So I don't do what should I take for this and for that? I can speak to that. But more importantly, I speak to nutrition because a lot of us just don't know what to do. And we think that if we're not nutritionists, then I don't know how to help myself. Let me tell you 3 steps that I say for everybody. Number 1, your health is your wealth. We hear that, right? Your health is your wealth. We work hard to make money, and then we lose our health. Then we take our money, spend it trying to get our health back. It doesn't make any sense. Number 2, your health is a God-given right. It's your God-given right to be healthy. Don't worry about, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I don't want foods to eat. Just know that it's your God-given right. It's your natural spirit to be healthy. Your body chooses you. No one else on the planet that it'd rather spend its entire life with. Your body loves you. Just wants to be with just you, nobody else in the world. If someone loves you that much, then shouldn't you love it back? So you have to start asking yourself, why am I not feeling well? What's going on mentally? What's going on physically? What's going on socially? What's going on psychologically? We have to go back to the food. We are a very special melanated people. The foods that we eat are for us. We are finding these mental challenges, these physical challenges, because we're on someone else's diet. I don't call it diet, I call it living. We're eating foods that we should not be eating. As a melanated person, you do the research. You're worth $40 million right now on the stock exchange. That's who you are. See, we don't know who we are because we've fallen from the pyramid to the project without living, without eating habits. We have to go back into who we are as a people. It is your God. You are so connected to God. And number 3, your health is your responsibility. If you don't accept that, then you will remain diseased, not disease. It's a disease for a lifetime. It's not your doctor's responsibility to make you healthy. It's not your spouse's responsibility to make you healthy, because the moment you give it to them, that makes you not accountable. Oh, my doctor handled it, but you don't know what their motivation might be. You have to take care of you. It is your responsibility. Go back to nature and you'll find your health again. I'm
Sounds
sorry, I got
good.
one.
No. So as we're talking about how to maintain inner strength, there's mindfulness, there's meditation. Talk about some of the things that you recommend for people to get in touch with the strength that we have, that sometimes we try to talk ourselves out of, but it is within us. What are those things that help us that you recommend, that you do to reconnect with your inner strength, or that you recommend to others?
Absolutely wonderful question. Your day starts with your first gift is to yourself. That's a mental affirmation that you start every day with. Your first gift, before you share yourself with the world, give yourself love first. Let's prepare ourselves first. Let's love ourselves first. So for me, early in the morning, I'm going to stretch. I may just sit there, lay back, and just relax. And just collect my thoughts. Just take it down before I take it up. Just find my strength. I don't make it heavy. If you don't go to the gym, if you don't have access to a gym, what do? No, you're at home. You start with where you're at. It's the mind that controls the body, right? So we have to give ourselves mental, positive affirmations before we start our day. That's number 1. Number 2, we're connected to water. So our bodies are 60, 70% water. So we have to connect to that. Have a glass or two of water every morning to start your day. Number 3, make sure the first meal of your day is a healthy meal. Now, we don't know what to eat. I might eat that. I might eat. Forget all that. Make sure that the first meal of your day, you think about it. I want to put this in my body. Whether it's fruit, oatmeal, whatever you do, don't just take things because I have to eat. I got to get to work. I got to get on the computer. Think about what you're eating. Just those are simple things that we can do. Every time we eat something, look, every bite we take is either causing a disease or curing one. So every time we put something in our system, just look at what we're putting in and just if it belongs there, do it. If it doesn't, no. And the last thing is, don't forget, one of the most important doctors in the world is laughter. Don't take things so seriously. Laugh, enjoy just the simplicity of life. Those are things that I recommend that we all can do without a membership to any gym.
I love it. Dr. Little, Dr. Richards, Jayde?
I really like what Mr. Brown shared. Awesome info. I would just like to add a few more things to that excellent list. Reading, learning new information daily. There's a advice that people have given for umpteen years, learn a new word a day. I would recommend learn a new self-care tip a day, something new that you can incorporate in your life. For instance, I suggest to people Friday should be a friendly Friday day and reach out to someone you haven't talked to in a while. But incorporate something new in your day every day. Also, journaling. Journaling is really powerful. Sometimes you just don't know what to say, you don't know what to do, and you need to write it out. You need to get it out. You can't even speak, but over and over again, you can write, I'm okay, I'm okay. Everything's going to be okay. Sometimes you don't know what to say on that paper. You can just write a list of what you're grateful for. You're grateful you can write. You're grateful you have that paper. You're grateful you woke up this morning. So gratitude and journaling and reading. And that list was awesome, Mr. Brown, but I'm trying to think what else could you add? Music. Music is powerful. I highly recommend everyone have a happy playlist. Those are those songs that as soon as you hear them, they just change your mood. I believe God gave us that gift of music and we should use it well. We should use it well. And lastly, I think that we use the word stress too broadly. I recommend that you break down stress. We have stressors in life and we have stressful events. We have financial stress, workplace stress, like Jayde, maybe school stress, family stress. We should break it down and then tackle it like the advice that we use in business about don't just take the whole elephant. You're supposed to break down the elephant. Break down the stress and just tackle it one piece at a time. You can't eat a whole elephant. You can't take care of that entire stress. Break down the stress and tackle it one piece at a time. I think that's what I got, Stephanie, for everyone.
Thank you.
And I would add to the list, carving out an hour each day. Carving out an hour for you each day. Also adding prayer to it. I'm a big believer in prayer, adding prayer to your day. A massage a month. I do a massage a month, some people might do 2 or 3, but I recommend taking care of your body, a massage a month. Also working out that keeps you balanced. So those are the ones I would add to the list.
Perfect.
I think for me, a big thing is breath work. Because at the end of the day, I think if you don't have anything else, you always have your breath. So, and breath.
You have to explain what that is. You just can't say breath work to somebody in my generation. We don't even know what that is.
So it can literally be like sometimes if I feel very loud, if I feel like there's a lot going on, if I feel just overwhelmed, I can sit and take 10 slow, deep breaths and think of, and then like reassess how I feel. And I can tell that the levels of anxiety have decreased. So it can be as simple as that, just taking some slow, deep breaths when you feel overwhelmed to kind of reset your nervous system and to calm yourself down and to re-ground. So yeah, it doesn't, like, I know breath work can sound like an intimidating word, but it's really just breathing with intention and breathing while paying attention to your breath. So it is, you know, mindfulness and breath work are very go together. And then also I always say therapy, because there is so much stigma around therapy in the Black community. And from personal experience, I know that I wouldn't be alive if I didn't have my therapist. So I think, and then also as Black people, we come into the world with our ancestors' trauma already. So I think every Black person could use a therapist or just someone who is designated for processing or just talking about themselves, that like a container for you that's not yourself, that's something outside of yourself. I think that is essential for everyone. Yeah, that's all I want to add.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I hope
Wonderful.
Jayde
All
gets
right.
into psychology. I hope you become a psychologist. We need great, awesome Black female
Thank you.
psychologists like you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm in school for.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
That's wonderful. All right. So then, you know, we've identified all of these ways that we can access our inner strength, that we can you know, look to these self-care methods to be our better selves. And that's great. But sometimes we get it wrong. What does it look like when the self-care or the reach out, the help that we're seeking isn't working, isn't right? And sometimes people don't, you know, people can't recognize it. Have you seen it in your practice, in your experience, where you know, where it's just going left? And how do you get people back on the right track? Or does that make sense?
It definitely does.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we don't have a reset button in life physically, but we do. If we have breath, we have a chance to make a change. And in this day and age, we have so many resources at our fingertips. There's an app called Calm, CALM, and I highly recommend that to people. There is times we have to reset and regroup, plan it out. I highly recommend to people, write it down on paper, write down your plan, what you're going to do this week, who you're going to call to get some advice, run things by. But
what are those red flags that let you know that you need a reset? Because sometimes people don't see it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think if you're a professional in this space, you know what healthy help looks like. I think it might be worth having a conversation in our 6 minutes that we have left. What does it look like when it's unhealthy, and how can we redirect?
The first word that comes to my mind, how does it look? Not being productive. Your day just got past you. You're behind. You're not even motivated to get it done. That's what it looks like. How do I fix it? What do I suggest is that basic word, that discipline. Doing the things that you don't want to do, but doing it like you love it. Have to work on discipline. That's my answer. But yes, very good question too.
I would say, coming from experience, it looks like getting sick, burning out as a Black woman. Sometimes we don't know how to listen to our bodies, right? Listening to your body. Sometimes we don't. And it takes us left. We burn out. When we get sick, I was that person, okay? But I've overcome that, right? And so I would definitely say that. And just, learning when to turn the phone off, to not answer the phone, turn social media off, just having time for you. And we just have to learn to listen to our bodies. And I don't think we do that enough, because I've been there.
Yeah, I feel like what everyone said is spot on. I think, yeah, I don't think I have anything to add. That was all right.
So you've never seen it go left?
I have, and I think like a red flag to me is I feel like I agree with the productive, but being productive looks so different for so many different people. So I feel like the red flags are really, it depends on the person. So I think I just feel like, again, like Dr. Little was saying, just listening to yourself and checking in with yourself. I think that practice will allow you to tell if a red flag is popping up or if something's happening that's a red flag, and you need to adjust some things and do some of those things to reset.
Got it. All right, we have about 4 minutes left, and I just want everyone to think about our theme today: how to maintain inner strength, how to tap into that strength that is only yours. And let us leave us with some parting words. I'm going to start with the last person to join us, Mr. Brown.
Wow, you would do that, right?
I would.
Wow, you asked some wonderful questions. I like a good question. You've been asking some wonderful questions.
Thank you.
I'd say never give up. No matter how bad things may appear to be, this too shall come to pass. Go to your faith, whatever your faith is. There, lying next to you, is your best friend. That whisper, that ear. And the last thing I would say is never stop loving yourself. Just know that your only competition is yesterday. Never stop loving yourself. That's my answer.
I love it. I love it. Sometimes we're the first, you cannot help yourself if you don't love yourself. And sometimes I think we forget that is the so basic. So basic. All right, Jayde, I'm coming to you. What is the pearl that you are going to drop for us as we close?
I would say that it's really important to recognize when you've done too much or you're doing too much and you need to rest, or sorry, I lost my train of thought.
This is you're dropping wisdom as we are closing.
I think, sorry, can you come back to me? Someone's about to walk in.
Of course. Yep. Tell them to get out of your space. You're doing important work here. All right, Dr. Little, the pearls of wisdom.
I will leave you with 3. Number 1, put yourself first. Put yourself first. Number 2, invest in yourself. We don't invest in ourselves enough. And number 3, ask for help. I know, we're some type A people, right? And sometimes we don't ask for help. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Just don't be afraid to do that.
I love it. Dr. Richards.
I learned a big lesson after the pandemic that change can happen really quickly, good and bad. A lot of things happened. Charles Dickens' book, The Tale of Two Cities, opens up, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And I really hope that people build resilience from this time and realize that it is going to be okay. It is going to be okay.
Amen. I love it. Jayde, anything you want to add?
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Dr. Little said what I was thinking, is just not being afraid to ask for help. I think we've been in this pandemic and it's still happening for a long time, longer than expected. And it's a prolonged period of uncertainty, which is a lot on the brain and the body for everyone. And we don't have to handle this and process it by ourselves. So do not be afraid to ask for help in, whatever aspect of life you need help in, because life is really hard for everyone right now.
It really is. And, when I think about it, I started with thanking Karenthia for hosting this day of conversation. I'm going to end with it. I think it is easy for people to post a quote or say a self-care Sunday. I think it's harder to have constructive conversations where we're willing to make ourselves vulnerable, to talk about what's going on, and then also talk about how to fix it. And Karenthia introduced me as a goal-oriented, Baltimore, I want to say orientated, goal-oriented professional. But she is very goal oriented and focused on growth and focused on wellness. So I want to thank you for inviting me to be the moderator for this incredible panelist, Dr. Richardson, Dr. Little, Ms. Jayde, our podcast whiz, and Mr. Brown. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. I have been made richer for this conversation. So thank you, Karenthia, for allowing me to participate.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. I took notes. I'm inspired. I'm encouraged. I started with talking about I was a proud auntie. And if you didn't understand why I'm so proud of Jayde, I'm sure you understand now. She is a tremendous blessing, not only to our family, but so many others. And we're so proud of her and love her so, so much for her. And thank you all for your transparency and vulnerability, because, we started today with the economics of the pandemic and how it impacts our communities in particular. And then we went to the importance of connection. And with the exception of Jayde and Stephanie, I've met the three of you during the pandemic in a virtual environment. And that echoes the fact that it's important for us and the need that we as people have to be connected to other people. Then we had the experts talking about helping us understand the impact of the pandemic on our mental health. Because all of us, whether we are seeking mental health services or not, we have been impacted. And it may be, something from anxiety or stress or grief, but there's a range of things that we all are experiencing as it relates to our mental health. And it's important that we acknowledge it and do the things that we need to do to address it. And you've talked about many of those things. And in addition to the services of mental health professionals that are available to us. And then the conversation with the men. It's often difficult to get our men to even go to the doctor. And then you talk about mental health issues. And the three men were so open and candid about the struggles and challenges that are unique to African-American men that have been heightened and expanded during this pandemic. And this was like the ribbon tying up the package. And I am so grateful to everyone who has participated as a speaker, a panelist, or the audience, because this was placed in my spirit months ago. And I convened a team to talk about it, and they have helped me, roll this out. I conducted a survey several months ago, just kind of assessing the impact of the pandemic. And the survey confirmed what I had thought in terms of the impact on physical, mental, and financial health. And I've been blessed to have a broad network of friends and associates who it was a matter of texting or emailing or calling. So I didn't have to beat the pavement to find experts and people who were willing to share their expertise and knowledge. And if there has been one person who has been helped by the conversations today, then I am grateful, and the effort has been worth the while. So I encourage you all, if you haven't already registered for the VIP meet and greet that will start in about 5 minutes, And I would encourage you to do so. You will have an opportunity to talk with, mingle with, in a virtual space, our speakers who have shared so graciously of themselves today. Thank you all so much. And again, thank you, thank you, thank you.